Well, it seems we're living in unprecedented times, as if we didn't have enough to worry about managing our stores between just, managing our Etsy stores and all the ordinary stuff that goes on. We also have to worry about tariffs, and now I'm hearing about a shipping slowdown and half empty ports. So I'm wondering, and this week I thought I'd ponder it for a little bit, will this affect in-stock items for print on demand? Let's talk about it this week on Adventures in Pod. Hi, and welcome to Adventures in Pod. I'm your host, Ryan McGinnis. I'm the owner of S&D Designs, a self-published author on Amazon, and the owner of 217 Press, which is, for now, an Etsy store powered by print on demand. I started this podcast to give you guys, to be able to share my experiences with you guys and with others. And, hoping that maybe along the way we can share our experiences and learn a little bit from each other as we go on this journey together. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit. Recently I talked about tariffs. I talked about that quite a bit. It was a popular subject on here. Everybody, had their opinions. But now there's also news. I turned on the news, which I don't normally do because, it's kind of like, oh my God, it's a dumpster fire, and then you click it off. But I did see on the news, I've been seeing all this news about empty and half-empty ports on the West Coast and soon to be on the East Coast and soon coming to a store near you. And I'm wondering, I wondered to myself, will this have an effect on the in-stock availability of our items in the print-on-demand stores? Now, so far, I haven't seen anything from Printify on this because that's who I use. It's normal to have some stuff out of stock. Like you get shirts and you pick all your variables and you pick all your colors, and inevitably there's a couple colors that are out of stock. But are we going to see more out of stock options coming up? And what kind of pain will this cause for us as Etsy owners? When we talked about tariffs, there was a lot of talk about just buying U.S. items. If you just use U.S. shirts instead of using, shirts that you don't know where they've necessarily come from, then that circumvents that problem. And that's not entirely the case. Because as I mentioned in the tariff video, when it comes to made in USA shirts versus other shirts, there are shirts that are made in USA that are completely made in the USA on Printify's catalog. Those shirts are markedly more expensive. So if you're trying to keep your overhead down and you're trying to not pass on, increased cost to customers, it's going to be hard when you're paying, on average $3 to $4 more a shirt. Also, I don't think that'll save us though. Just I get on this thought. I don't think that'll save us in this situation either, though, because much like when we were talking about tariffs, even the shirts that are made in the USA, a lot of them, the cotton and the polyester and whatever items used to make the shirt, the ingredients to make the shirt, if you will, a lot of those come from overseas, so that the U.S. shirts can keep the cost down. So, and if the cotton's not being delivered, then the price of the shirts are going to go up, or the availability is going to go away. So I don't think it's easily circumvented by doing U.S. products. It might be one of those things where you can temporarily hold it off at a cost to your profit margin, but eventually it's going to catch up with us. So it's tricky. So far though, I have not seen either of these problems. I've been keeping an eye on my Printify store. I know I've been busy. I know I've been bouncing around. I know I've had a lot of stuff going on with the store, but I have been keeping an eye on things, and I haven't seen anything. Haven't had any word from Printify, but I haven't seen anything regarding scarcity. I haven't seen anything regarding any suppliers. I mean, they haven't even raised our prices yet for tariffs. They're going to try to absorb it as best they can. But I'll keep you posted. I'll keep an eye on it. If any of you guys have seen anything or heard anything, please let me know in the comments. In the meantime, we'll just hang in there, because we could be looking at a situation. Who knows? In a month, it could be fine. In 6 months, we could be fine. Or in 5 or 6 months, we could be looking at, I've had to pull most of the items from my store because, I can't get the shirts, or I can't get the coffee mugs, or I can't get whatever it is that you make, enough of it in the store to make it work. Unfortunately, we have no roadmap for how this is going to go, because the last time we saw big slowdowns and with shipping was during COVID, and I didn't do print on demand back then. I didn't have an Etsy store. I didn't have any print on demand. When COVID came around, honestly, I moved to Brownsville, Texas. Literally, I landed in Brownsville, Texas about less than a month and a half before lockdown started. So, that was pretty wild when I think about it, because we traveled, halfway across the country from Kansas down to Texas, which isn't nearly as far as our first move, which was North Carolina to Kansas. But, we get to Texas, and next thing you know, everything's locked down. It's a new area. It's a new situation. We're living at the border. Then they lock everything down, and we don't know where we are. We don't know anything about the place, and suddenly we're locked in the apartments. But I don't know what happened with print on demand. If anybody was doing print on demand during COVID, when the last shipping slowdown happened, come to me in the comments. Let me know how it worked out, because I know I saw a lot of stuff during COVID, and particularly coming out of COVID, the supply chains, when they were locked down and we first started thawing everything out, it took a while. It took a while to get everything back in gear. It caused sharp increases in prices. And, so I don't know how this is going to be this time. This is going to be, I know this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, because I'm really just speculating. This whole episode is just a speculation where I'm like, oh God, I hope this doesn't happen, but it might, so that's, that's really all I've got this episode. I just wanted to touch on that, and I wanted to kind of contemplate that for a few minutes. Because I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know if we're going to run out of products for the stores. I don't know if the prices are going to go way up. I guess we're just going to have to ride this one out. It's the same thing as with the tariffs. We don't know, because there's no precedent, and I haven't done this before. So I guess we're just going to ride this one out and see how it goes. But in the meantime, that's the episode. If you guys have any comments, if you have your own experiences to share about, like if you ran a print-on-demand store during COVID, leave it in the comments. I would love to hear it. In the meantime, give us a like, give us a subscribe, maybe hit the notification bell, because it doesn't always, the algorithm doesn't always put my videos in your feed, even if you subscribe. So hit the notification bell just to make sure you get the latest videos. And, like I said, visit me in the comments. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk soon.